Hello and welcome to City Focus. I'm your host Kevin Bargender, and I have my co-host Carla Lenk from SCORE. Welcome, Carla.
Thank you.
And we have our special guest, Mary Wolosek, the Parks and Rec Supervisor, and we're going to be asking her a lot of questions today about the Parks and Rec Department. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you.
So kind of tell us about your experience with the city.
I've been with the city a little over 30 years, so it's been there for quite a while, and I've seen a lot of programs and a lot of progress with the different departments, changed throughout the years. When I first started, I started out on Alton Street and with our office, and it was just basically the park crew, my supervisor, my secretary, as they were called back then, and myself, and then eventually we got moved over to City Hall. So when I was first hired, I was in charge of 2 swimming pools, the East Side Pool and the Mead Pool, which both are no longer in this area. And I also ran all of the recreation programs. So currently, I'm still running the aquatics program, all of the recreation programs, as well as the ice pond, and I also hire for the zoo attendant.
Awesome. So, as running some of these classes for the Aquatics Center, I know last year was the first year quite a bit different than what we were expecting our first year to be. Can you kind of tell me how last year went?
Last year we opened up late. It was a little stressful not knowing exactly what our protocol and guidelines and rules and regulations were going to be for opening the facility. But my superiors decided that we were going to open with restrictions, and we limited it to city residents and then a few outlying cities or townships that were initially offered a chance to go into the aquatic center if they were to help out financially. So it was restricted in somewhat last year. We opened late in the beginning of July. Keeping staff tagging along, as you will, not knowing when we were going to open was a challenge in itself. Worked very closely with Wood County Health Department on what our restrictions were going to be. So there was a lot of social distancing. There was a lot of extra PR announcements over the aquatics PA system. The lifeguards wore masks if they were down below or in contact with patrons. We were constantly using sprayers for sanitizers if people were eating at a table and got up and left. We sprayed, wiped down areas. We were doing the hot spots, the touch spots frequently. So the lifeguards, besides lifeguards, when they were off duty, they rotated into those different positions to help out, keep the facility safe for everybody that was coming.
Yeah, it was definitely a challenge last year, and hopefully this year more back to normal. So what kind of classes do you think that are new this year are you kind of excited about, or you think that the local residents will be excited about?
There's one class in particular. It's called Aqua Zumba, and we started registration on May 17th, and that class filled up the first day. We have a waiting list for the class. We have a certified instructor that lives out of the area but close by. And so that obviously that class is going to take off, and hopefully next summer we'll be able to maybe offer 2 classes if she's available. We are offering swim lessons, which is mostly the parent taught and pre-beginner level for the really young children. We are also offering lap swim and water walking and water jogging, which I think is going to be interesting because in the Leisure River they're going to be going against the current. So it's an extra workout in itself, and it doesn't matter what shape you're in because you can walk at your own pace or you can jog at your own pace.
So it's not designed specifically for children.
No, the leisure pool is deeper. And there is a current there, and if they're not good swimmers, they would have trouble. And we want to keep everybody safe.
What about the Zumba classes? Are you going to have age range there, or is it just open to everyone?
It's 14 and older. Most of them that are registered are adults because they have to be in chest deep water. So we're a little bit restricted and limited to where we can actually potentially put that class. I mean, we've got 3 pools over there. We plan on putting them in the activity pool. So the shorter people obviously are going to be in front of the class, whether they like it or not, because it'll be the proper depth on them. and then the taller people in the back. Because
The shorter they are, the farther up in front they'll be.
Yes, exactly, so that they have where the water level should be on them, so. And we're planning on putting them in the recreational pool, which I also call the activity pool. So we were a little bit restricted with space, so we'll see how it goes, and if there's more room for people, we'll allow more people to register, but we wanted to keep 3 feet between the participants and stagger them, and that's what the instructor and I felt would be a comfortable number of people in that.
What's the difference in price between just going to go swimming with the kids versus some of these events?
The day pass is $7 whether you are a city resident or a non-resident. That is the day pass. The city residents can get a cheaper, we call it a punch card, and they are able to purchase 5 punches for $20. So they get it at $4. So they get their savings there. The season passes, we have multiple season passes available, from the singles to seniors to veterans to families, residents and non-residents. And of course, the residents get a much cheaper rate because the city taxes.
What do you call the residents? Would that be Nakusa, Port Edwards, as well as Wisconsin Rapids? Or
The city,
townships?
the city residency, some people get confused on that. And the city residents are those that pay city taxes to the city. So therefore, some of their tax money is already supporting that program, that facility. And some people get confused and they think because their address or zip code is Wisconsin Rapids that they are a city resident, and they're not, because mostly they pay taxes to the county. And then we have some that also think that if they live in the school district, that because they go to Wisconsin Rapids School District, they think they're a city resident. So part of that is educating them along the way that the city residents get the discount, that they pay their taxes go to the city.
Yeah, and I know we had some confusion with that last year as far as the restrictions, like the 10-mile radius we had last year. How do you think that's going to change with no restrictions this year?
I think we're going to be busier, but being an outdoor facility, it is dependent upon the weather. If it's going to be a hot summer, I think we're going to be extremely busy. My Park and Recreation Board, we're limiting it to 600 people. The patron load established by the state is a little over 800, but we noticed with 400 and some people there last year, it was pretty busy. So we're going to limit it to 600 and make sure that people have ample room to swim, to sit on the lawn chairs, or put their beach towels out on the grass and sit and lounge around or sit in the sun.
So with the extra, different programming this year and which we didn't really have last year at the Aquatic Center, what are some of the new challenges that you face?
It was hiring a lot of extra staff. It was fortunately the Lincoln High School, the swim team coach, Fayed, instructor over there, has been real helpful in helping promote getting kids to register for lifeguarding programs and stuff. We've attended job fairs and stuff. So most places have a lifeguard shortage that is really prevalent around the area. And I know some of the local areas that we're competing against for lifeguards, kids want to work outdoors in the summer. So we tend to pull some of their staff away from them because they would rather work outdoors. It's a new facility. It's beautiful facility to work in. So I was worried about that initially, that we were going to have trouble finding lifeguards, but we had our staff meeting yesterday and it went very well, and I'm very pleased with the number of lifeguards we have and the ones that have applied, and I think that we're going to have a great staff this summer.
When you have some of these events going on, will that be extra then from what you'd have as your regular rates for swimming, for using the pool itself?
Yes. Those that have a season pass or day pass, whatever, they, for example, if they come to the Aqua Zumba class, there's an extra charge just like a regular class, like our regular recreation classes. Because those special classes are not held during our open swim hours. They are set up before and after our open swim because we anticipate people are going to be traveling out of town and they don't want to travel to a new nice facility and say that they can't go in this area because there's a class. So during open swim, all 3 pools will be open for the people that come to visit us. The We have a day rate and a season rate for the aqua walking and the joggers and lap swimmers. So they could come periodically if they want, or they can pay the season pass rate or the season summer rate, which is cheaper in the long term, and they can register that way. So those programs have a couple of different ways of,
Do you have a senior discount then?
for those particular,
For
For
like, for using the, what did you call it, the river
leisure river.
pool?
We do not for those. We do have special groups that are, we've got programming set up, and one of those groups is the seniors from the Lowell Center. And they have their own class that they'll register through the Lowell Senior Center organization here.
So that's just one fee that they would pay.
And they
at
pay the
Lowell
one
Center.
fee, which is a really good fee for them, so.
And then due to like, high safety standards at the aquatic center, you have to have more employees. And I think we talked off camera about 2 lifeguards per station, basically.
It changes, and a lot of it's based on the state codes, which are patron loads. For example, our activity pool last year, we did not have the zip line or the climbing wall. And we had the one diving board, so we had to have 2 guards. We had to have one in the shallow end of the pool, and we had to have one by law state code that you had to have one by the diving board especially. Well, now that we've got 2 extra amenities in that pool, we also have to have a lifeguard specifically for the climbing wall when that's open. So the activity pool will always have 3 lifeguards at that pool, unless we happen, if it's not busy and we're running short or inclement weather, there's not a lot of patrons there, we could have 1 lifeguard and block off one of them and rotate back and forth between the 2. But for most of those activities, the zip line, the wall climbing, and the diving board, they all have to take a swim test to pass because it is deep water.
So tell me more about the zip line. That's the first time I've heard of it. You go from pool to pool?
No, I wish, I wish. No,
Here I am.
yeah, I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed, and I was excited at first. Well, we're gonna have a zip line. I thought I'm gonna be the first one to try it out. And unfortunately, I think it's gonna be a really good amenity for the preteens, because you basically grab the handlebars, push yourself off, and you go out about 6 feet and then drop into the water.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like you're
Similar
going
like
from-
you'd have a rope on a tree and.
Swing, yep, it's very
Yeah.
similar. Mm-hmm.
And then you have the rock climbing wall, which is also new, and that goes fairly high. And then, I'm assuming the kids would climb up there and then jump off as well.
Well, they're not allowed to push off because we
Okay.
got the diving board that's not too far
Oh.
over. So we're gonna try to make sure the lifeguards are going to be, if somebody's on the climbing wall and climbing up, that they're, wait for that person to either fall in before the next person goes off the diving board. Even though the diving board, people are instructed that you have to go straight off, you can't jump to the sides, and then head out to the closest ladder. Where last year, a lot of the people off the diving board, they could go anywhere off the front and not worry about somebody on the wall. So we're kind of gonna play it by ear and rotate between diving board and wall climbing and letting the people go if there's lines for both. But 1 person is only allowed on the climbing wall at a time, so that's a good safety feature.
Do they have to have special shoes to be on there, or is that barefoot?
That's barefoot.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And as
A lot
far
of Band-Aids? You're putting in a lot of Band-Aids?
They're not allowed to wear Band-Aids in the pool.
No, but I mean,
Oh,
for, because I've seen rock climbers before.
well, it's kind of like a soft foam. It's not real
Oh, it's
sharp.
not like regular
No,
rock.
it's not hard. It's
Okay.
soft because you're gripping with your hands and your feet climbing up. So it's not a real rigid surface where you would cut yourself.
Okay.
it's going to be wet too, I'm assuming.
Yes,
So
yes, it will be wet.
It's definitely not going to be an easy climb probably for some people, but yeah, just another feature that we can add to the pool. Something more to add to like the river walk, or it's called the river walk with the little pads.
The water walk.
Water
That's
walk,
very
yeah.
popular with the young kids. That I would say from 6 to 9-year-olds love like the water walk.
Yeah, definitely. Using your hands and your feet to kind of balance your way across.
And it's moving.
Yes, yeah.
It's not a stationary. Like the wall climbing is a stationary apparatus that you're climbing compared to the water walk. You've got waves because you've got other people swimming off to the side. And so, and you have more than one person on the 6 steps that are going across, which is generating waves. So it gets a little movement and challenging.
Sounds like you've got a lot of new things that I used to live in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, and they went down there as a committee to look at that particular aqua center. And that's where I know a lot of things, but I don't recall them having a rock wall or to have a river walk.
Those are newer features, and most of the time you see those in the big water parks like Noah's Ark or Wilderness. Not really in municipalities, but you're starting to see more of those features on a smaller scale in different municipalities around the state.
So I know some people, like especially last year, were always wondering, when is the season, kind of how long is it gonna be, when's it gonna end? Do you have any of those answers?
I do. We are opening June 7th. Our hours are Monday through Thursday from noon until 6 p.m. On Friday and Saturday, we're going to be open at 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. And then on Sundays from noon to 5 p.m. And then we are hoping to keep the pool open a little longer than last year. One of the things is going to be high school sports are back in action. So I lose a lot of my staff and college kids in early August. August football and soccer, volleyball, they all start, I believe, like around August 9th. And I have a staff full of athletes. So unfortunately, we're going to try to keep open past, I think it's the 22nd or 23rd, if we can stay open a week or two longer, even if it's a skeletal crew. And we'll see once we get into the season if we can stay open longer. But we plan on opening June 7th. No restrictions. People can come in. If they are not comfortable wearing a mask, they may wear a mask. We just have different recommendations from the Wood County Health Department that if you're sick, stay home. Wear a mask if you would like to. And
are you going to be testing for COVID?
No, we're not going to be testing. Last year we tested our staff with temperatures and stuff. Every morning when they came into work. They were tested. A lot of the staff have their shots. There's more and more people that do now. So it's up to the individuals with their comfort level, if they're comfortable coming. I mean, they can still social distance from people. It's a little bit harder in the water, but you're in chlorine, which kills the virus, so that's a good place to be. So it's up to the individuals whether or not they feel comfortable coming.
So what did you all learn from last year? Obviously there were definitely some growing pains here and there, but what do you think you can really take off of last year and apply to this year?
I think last year it gave us a good baseline of what to expect with the full opening. Last year we pretty much kept it at 50% and we had the restrictions and stuff, so we weren't getting on a real hot day. You had people and stuff, but not compared to if we were fully open. So it kind of gave us a taste of what to expect and to make sure that all of our rules and regulations were in place, so the staff training, it gave us a pre-trial run, if you will, to make sure that when we did open up that we were good to go. So there was things that didn't work real well last year, and so we make the changes for this year.
Yeah, and kind of going back to like the staff, how many staff do you normally have in the park at one time?
Lifeguards, there will be 14 lifeguards on duty. In admissions and concessions, I'm not in charge of that program, but I'm anticipating that there's going to be probably 2 to 4 in each of those positions. We have separate people that are going to be cleaning that facility throughout the day. There's 2 of those. We have a certified pool operator who is there, basically full-time. And I spend a lot of my time there overseeing my staff and supervising the facility. Then we also have the attendants for the slide and the 2 leisure rivers. So there's 3 of those, actually 4, because we have one that'll rotate because they need their lunch hour breaks.
So again, where can people get their season passes or day passes as well?
They can go online to our website at parks.wirapids.org. The information is also on the city website page if you go under Parks and Recreation. We have a lot of information as well on our city Facebook page, City of Wisconsin Rapids Parks and Recreation Department. Or they can call the office too, and we can get them hooked up on the phone as well. Or they can email us and we can send them a link and exchange information, because we do take photos with the passes, so when people do come in, we make sure that Kevin is Kevin who he says he is.
Or he's not giving somebody else.
Somebody else's pass, so we can double check it, because
See, Kevin?
Definitely can't do that this year. Have you had any issues with that in last year at all, or?
I think our biggest issue with the admissions is kids lying about their age to get in so they can swim by themselves without coming with their parents. That was a big issue last year. As far as, families, most of the families are gonna come in, we accept driver's license, so they have proof of their residency, and we had to do that last year, so that was a good thing. So most of those people already have accounts set up in our system. But when you have young kids who don't have driver's license yet, and we're allowed to come swimming, how do you prove their age and who they are?
Yeah.
That was challenging.
Definitely. But luckily this year you're not requiring to see, as far as like residency goes for admission, because last year was 10-mile radius. This way you don't have to necessarily have proof for everybody that comes in necessarily.
If they're living outside of the city residence and their family or adults or whatever, they'll show proof because we'll set up an account for them.
Okay.
If for the ones that are younger than 16 that don't have a license or temps and are old enough to come by themselves, I want to say we moved it up to 14. I think it was 12 last year. My memory isn't as good as it used to be. And there was some of them you'd see come in with their family members and you knew how old they were, and then they try to come back with their group of friends and say this is a birthday. I ended up actually calling some of the parents and saying, what is your child's birthday? And it's amazing how some parents are honest about it and some are not. Yeah, so that they can allow their child to swim.
When they set up the account, isn't that collected on the answer sheet? That they have to fill that out?
It is now, yes. Mm-hmm. Last year, most of the people, when they came to the admissions, they signed up. But again, you're taking for granted, hopefully the parents are being honest when they come in with their children and telling you the correct birth dates and stuff. Because we had some say, no, that's not what I told you. And it's like, okay, it's in here. And every time they come with you, and now all of a sudden they're coming with a friend, did their birthday change? So it's challenging at times.
I can imagine that.
And I know a very common question last year was, how long are the lines, weather updates, when do you close, when do you stay open? Can you kind of answer some of those questions?
I should have brought my cheat sheet with me. We did develop a policy, and it has to be 70 degrees or warmer to open. We're going to keep an eye on the weather. We also have it on the city website, where you're going to know how many people are swimming at the pool. It'll keep track of their patron load. And if we're opening or if we're going to be closing early due to weather, if it's thundering and lightning out, we live in Wisconsin. We all know that it can snow, rain, and hail and sunshine in one day, in one afternoon. So we're going
to look at the last 3 days.
Yes.
We had the air conditioner on 2 days ago. Now we got the furnace on.
Yeah. So the weather's a challenge, but we do have severe weather alert radios over there, and with everybody with their smartphone technology, you can keep an eye on the weather and see if it's coming, so that we can, if we do need to close, we can get people out early. But as I mentioned earlier, we're going to post it on the website if we do happen to close early. And people that do register, on all of our rules, regulations, and everything is on the internet as well.
And I believe the occupancy was too, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you're max capacity, then people can know, okay, I'm gonna have to maybe wait a little bit like they did last year.
Yeah.
But with the higher capacity, that should hopefully help that issue, I think, right?
I'm hoping that it will alleviate some of the problems with lines and stuff, especially on the hot days. We'll have 2 to 3 people checking people in quickly, and we'll have, most people were really pushing the season passes because they can just, the card, you click it and go, scan and go. So that should help speed things up, and I think people are a little more accustomed to our procedures on what to expect, where to go. They enter the main doors, they know that the pool is off to their right, down the hallway they go, and come out through either the men's or women's locker room changing room areas.
Do they have to take a shower before they go into the pool?
They're supposed to. But then you have somebody who's got the bags, the towels, and everything around them, but by state law, they're supposed to shower before entering the pool.
Do they have to have, if you have long hair, do they need some kind of cap on?
No, they're supposed to have swim attire, and that swim attire has changed over the years, because you'll see rash guard shirts, the non-typical swimsuits with skirts, or that look like leggings and stuff now, but they sell in the swimwear department stuff. We don't allow athletic shorts, sweats, cut-off jeans, attire like that. If they're trying to go down the slides, they are not allowed to have, sometimes you'll see bejeweled swimsuits and stuff, and those are not allowed to go down the slides as well, because they scrape those slides as they're going down. So basic swimwear attire is appropriate.
I should think that would be a fairly clean type of description of your swimming suit. Although I saw something on national TV the other day about mermaid suits for little girls and how dangerous they can be.
Restriction.
They get into the water and they stick their arms down underneath the suit. So the suit comes up to here, but it has the flippers.
And
And then they can't get their arms out.
For balance.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, that's part of the reason why we have to have some guidelines and restrictions to that. And as far as the tube slide, now are those double tubes or single tubes or both?
We have two big slides, and non-swimmers are not allowed down there because it drops off into deep water, and we don't allow life jackets down those as well. The big green slide is our tube slide. They have to be 42 inches tall. We have single and double slides, so a parent can go down with the younger, or you can have two teens go down or two friends go down. Just make sure that the heavier person is in the back of the tube. And then we have the blue slide, which is a body slide, and that's feet first. Feet first, laying down. Thank you.
So, yeah, let's say I'm a parent and I want to come and I just want to watch my child, play or just want to hang out. I don't want to get in the water. What are some things that are alternatives to do?
We have a non-swimmer rate. We still charge you for entering the facility. And most of those parents will sit and watch their family play. There's nothing really else inside of the aquatic center per se. But at the park, there is the splash pad, there is the playground. We also have the pickleball courts that are at that location. So
is that where the tennis courts are now? Or is
that's where the tennis courts used to be. There's one tennis court and there's 6 pickleball courts at Witter right now. Okay. And those are heavily used if you drive by in the mornings and evenings.
Yes, I remember when they first opened, I think that opened after the aquatic center, I believe, correct?
Yes.
So yeah, this is kind of the first year of having everything, open together and finished really. It's kind of almost like a new beginning in a way, even though it's not necessarily the first year.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it, a new beginning.
And so we talked a little bit about in the PSAs that we shot a month ago about like special events that you're going to be having this year. Last year, not so much, but this year, I think there was like an NFL kickoff day, there was a Brewers Day, Father's Day events. Can you kind of go into a little bit of detail on those?
We also have Brewers Day, or your favorite Major League Baseball day. If you wear attire, whether it's sunglasses, a cap, a shirt, swim trunks, you'll be able to get in for $5. We do the same with our NFL Day. We are also doing a Disney Day for kids, and then we're also doing Christmas in July. So the Christmas in July is going to be set up by the head guards. We've got the day set, and there's going to be playing Christmas music all day long and hopefully do some other fun things. So that I'm looking forward to. And then to give back to our community, we're offering Community Day, and that's where patrons that come to the pool bring a non-perishable, non-expired item, and those items are going to be donated to the Family Center here in town.
Awesome, yeah. And then as far as other activities happening this summer, there's not just the aquatic center, there's definitely other things going on. Do you want to touch on some of those as well?
Sure. Our rec programs will be back in full force again this summer after taking last summer off. So our T-ball and pitch ball, both of those programs are filled, and we actually start June 14th. And that's an evening program. Our soccer program for the little kids is filled up already. I think parents are looking and glad that they're getting to be able to get their family and children active again and participate in programs. We've got a lot of art programs for adults and children. We've got family painting for families. We've got the basketball, the volleyball, we're pickleball. We're going to host a pickleball tournament. We've got pickleball trial days. We've got a whole slew of things going on. So if you're interested, check out our website. All of our information is on there.
Yeah, and we'll be posting, some of the events as well. And then there are quite a few events, even at the zoo. I heard.
Yes, I forget about the zoo. right now, aquatics is on my mind. But yeah, we are having scavenger hunts 2 days a week, and they can come in and see the petting zoo. The petting zoo is free. It's open from 10 in the morning until 1, and then from 2 until 7. The 1 to 2 is to give the animals a break in the petting zoo and let them rest a little bit. So they can grab a scavenger hunt sheet. I've got several of them there for all different levels, and they can go out and try to find all of the things that are designated in that particular scavenger hunt. We also have zoo chat and story time on Tuesday mornings from 10:30 to 11. And I have the staff member that had just graduated from the University of Stevens Point, and she's really looking forward to talking about the different animals at the zoo and giving brief education about the animals. I think she is going to hopefully set up some Zooms or some videos that we can post on our Facebook page and stuff, because we started that last year with you guys, and that went over really well. And we are not doing the coloring days this year because I wasn't sure where we were going to be with COVID, with kids sharing the crayons and stuff. So we're not going to do that, but hopefully next year that program will be back as well.
Yeah, so it seems like a full summer of just events for almost anybody, really. I mean, it's not just for one demographic. Kind of fits everyone.
All ages are welcome.
I know that the pool has been looked forward to for many people. And one of the reasons I used to live in Grand Rapids, where we had Residency white sands and red sands. And I was telling Kevin that white sands is really pathetic these days. It has no beach, and the geese have taken over that whole area, so nobody wants to go into the water.
I think the same has happened with Necco Lake, unfortunately.
They need to have some kind of program.
They've tried different things in the past.
The new people come in, the new ducks and ducklings and geeslings.
They're hard to get rid of once they're here.
Yeah, so I mean, it'll be nice just to, I think get the community back involved with these programs, and it's definitely going to be a busy summer for you, to say the least. And we look forward to, probably keeping track of what's going on and keeping the public informed. And there's also a number they can call too if they want to not go on the internet.
Sure. Our office number is 715-421-8240, so they can always call that. The office is open Monday through Friday from 8 until noon and 1 until 4:30.
All right. Is there any? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I speculate that you're going to be drawing people from out of the city. I would say in a 50-mile radius, because that's what happened when I lived in Fort.
I know there's people coming from Marshfield and Appleton that are looking forward to our facility opening up. Even Marshfield is currently building a new aquatic center, but theirs is going to open. I'm under the understanding in July.
They can
in July
because
they had an old pool like we had.
Yeah,
they're
they age.
Yep, they don't last forever, and they're the old traditional style pool. There's only so much you can do in those.
Yeah, and I'm from Marshfield myself, so I grew up going to HEFCO, and they had, outside of HEFCO, they had the disc golfing park, which now they had to get rid of because of the construction. But that pool was okay, at the time. As a little kid, it was, kind of an eye-opener, I guess. But then once you got to be older, there wasn't as much in there. There was, I believe, 1 or 2 diving boards. I know there was only 1 diving board at the end. So it was kind of either you swim or you go on the diving board, and that was it. Like there wasn't, unless they allowed us to bring some toys in or something like that. But there wasn't a whole lot of, if you wanted the water park experience, you had to go to the Dells.
Yeah.
There was nothing
And-
really around here.
And some of them may remember Rainbow Falls and
Yes,
Clover for
yep.
a while. I know there's a lot of people from our area that traveled over there because I was one family member that did that with the young kids. Because you have the typical style pools, and like you said, you have the diving boards. I mean, my favorite pool when I first started working was the East Pool. I just loved that pool. You had to add features. We added a slide down on the end. We had scuba lesson classes. We tried a lot of different specials. We do different types of games and stuff to try to pull people in because, like you said, they don't just want to come, go off the diving boards and swim. Although
Right.
some kids like to just frog around in the water.
But you use what you have.
Exactly.
Years and years ago, they had swimming pools in Milwaukee where I grew up. And it was a traditional, maybe you had 2 diving boards, but you had shallow water and you had deep water, period, and you had lifeguards. And we made do. I mean, your parents said, don't do this and don't do that, and you can do that.
Yeah, they were pretty basic back then, to be honest, compared to what we have now. So, I mean, it's kind of cool that with our new facility here, there's a lot more options for the younger children and
Right.
even the teens. So,
There's something for everybody there. I mean, last summer there was quite a few seniors that would come in early. We opened up a lot earlier last year, and they'd come in before a lot of the moms with the smaller children because they'd wait until they were up from their naps, or it takes a little longer to organize them and get them out the door. And they would walk, and around and stuff before it got crowded. And some of them were doing their own water exercises in the pool and stuff. And I think we'll see that again this year. And I think some of the seniors will adapt and maybe come early before the pool opens and be able to do the water walking and water jogging.
yeah, because a lot of these, a lot of your staff is probably pretty passionate about water and different water activities. It would be hard to believe that they weren't. So, and there's even things like for sports, you've got basketball hoops almost everywhere inside of this park. It's going to be really, it's like you said, it's basically for anyone. And there's really nothing to bore you at all in the park. There's just so many different activities
There's
going on.
lots to do, so
Yeah.
hopefully it appeals to somebody's interest.
If kids come there for a whole day, say from the time that you open until the time you close, can they get something to eat?
We do have concessions. They have to offer quite a variety of different things. Pizzas, hot dogs, ice cream. All the candy bars and soda and water. But they have to keep it in the food court, and that's open as long as the pool is open. And actually, there is a window on the side of the concession stand that we could serve people that are at the splash pad or playground area. They have access, they could order stuff as well. So it's not just for people that are in the aquatic center, but people maybe at the skate park, at the playground area, or pickleball, they could come through, because the outdoor bathrooms are located on that side, just down from the concession window.
In the playground and splash pad, that's going to be open longer than the aquatic center will be. So that's kind of a nice feature, even when it does close. There's not necessarily a complete end to the entertainment and the fun.
And we could go outside.
Yes.
Especially for those that maybe it's not as accommodating for those that are working, but they could come for a couple hours and then proceed to go outside, even though the splash pad is geared for younger children. Or the playground is, could adapt to the older, so we could have a mixture of activity going on.
And are there going to be any night swims this year or not?
No.
No night swims.
No night swims. We don't have the lighting for that. It has to be certain lighting in order to open up for a night swim. It's too dark.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it's a safety hazard.
But the pools do have lighting in them, correct?
Correct. Yes, there is lighting. If you drive by at night, you'll see it. It's lit up and it's actually pretty at night.
Are you going?
Yeah, I mean,
Don't be climbing the fence.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go, to be honest, last year, but I definitely think I would gotta go check it out this year. Now it's pretty much gonna be at full capacity and, everything's basically open. Definitely have to go in and check it out. I know we're gonna be doing a dry run here in a few weeks, so we're getting really close to the opening, and I'm definitely thinking you guys are excited to get this thing back open and anxious, and it's going to be a really busy summer, and hopefully everyone has a chance to come out and enjoy this. It's a really big project that has been worked on for many years and planned, and it's finally here. It's kind of almost, especially from the people that were working on it day one, it's almost kind of hard to believe that, you know, just a year and a half ago, there's still like dirt in the ground. So now it's, you know, it's
come around to fruition. It's a beautiful facility, and I hope the community enjoys it and supports it this summer.
Well, thank you very much, Mary.
Thank
Yeah,
you. It was nice
yeah.
meeting you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you everyone for watching at home. We appreciate it. And tune in next time for our next episode of City Focus. I'm your host, Kevin Bargender, my co-host, Carla Lenk with SCORE, and our Parks and Rec Director or Supervisor, Mary Wolosek. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again.
Thank you.